Have you back. Patrick, thank you so much. Jamie, thank you.
We have to pick our team of the season. So Michael is on the hot spot. He's been mulling it over. I was going to say all week, probably all day. And he's had a long day. So let's get straight into it with the goalkeeper. And I don't think there's much debate about this one. He is the Golden Glove winner. He's on the verge of the league title as well. David Raya, straightforward?
Absolutely. Raya is a straightforward pick. Probably the easiest one. I didn't take too long deliberating on this one, Steve. A brilliant season. And I don't think too many people will be shouting at the television there. OK. Ahead of him, you've gone with a back four. Let's see how that shapes up. Well, my right back, Steve, was a tricky one. Munoz, I thought he was actually better last season for Crystal Palace. But I was struggling to find anyone else in the Premier League. Timber for Arsenal entered my thoughts. But I've gone with Munoz. He had a little bit of an injury setback, let's say, around the turn of the year, and Crystal Palace didn't win without him in the team. He's a very attack-minded player. He's obviously he's a wing-back more so than a right-back. But as I say, that was probably the hardest decision. I wasn't too confident putting him in, but he gets a game as the right-back. I don't think there was too much debate at centre-half. No. Saliba and Gabriel, just an incredible defensive partnership. They've been pretty fit, pretty solid all season. And again, looking at left-back, that was an easy one.
Who would have thought he would have been in our first show?
Well, exactly. Imagine a few years ago if you'd said you're going to be in the team of the year, Premier League team of the year at left-back, he would have laughed at you because he plays as a number 10 for a lot of the youth teams at Manchester City. But he's been absolutely brilliant. So good that he'll probably end up going and starting in the World Cup for England. His footwork is incredible, as we can see here. He's so calm on the ball. He drifts into dangerous areas. You know, he's, as I say, he grew up being an attacking midfield player, so he knows exactly what to do. 9 goals this season, Michael. 9 goals from left back. He times his runs well. He gets in the box on a regular frequency. Very good in the air. He's a huge lad. And I just think he has been absolutely one of the finds of the season, actually, in the Premier League.
OK, he is a midfielder, but let's have a look at your team and the two in front of him in midfield. No surprise to see Declan Rice there. Yes. Now then, there was a lot of our production staff who expected perhaps an Elliot Anderson, a Bernardo Silva, but you've gone Casemiro.
I have. Declan Rice was just a simple selection. He went straight in. He was one of the first names on the team sheet. Casemiro, I've been so impressed with him. I know people say the wages he's on, and he's playing in a great, in a great stadium for a great team. Of course, you've got, all of those things that enter your head why you should continue and should play.
They were a great team in the first half of the season.
They weren't. And the career he's had, winning all those trophies at great clubs. I mean, it's easy for him, hardly playing at some stages of his Manchester United career, but he's actually played the best football in the last sort of 6 months of his career at Manchester United. He scores important goals. He's incredible defensively as well. Set pieces, he wins virtually every ball that comes into that near post area. And I just think when a lot of people questioned whether his best days were gone, he's come back with a vengeance. And Manchester United have been absolutely brilliant this season. They've, steamrolled into third in the Premier League, and his performances have been absolutely outstanding. He is going to be really, really difficult to replace.
Yeah, Michael Carrick has placed a lot on Casemiro since he walked through the door. Right in front of those two, Bruno Fernandes, his teammate, Morgan Rogers, what a season he's had, Antoine Semenyo, who has consistently done it for 2 clubs this season.
Absolutely. I mean, Bruno Fernandes, again, another easy selection. What a player he's been. But Semenyo, well, what can you say? I mean, he was bought for a lot of money. He was fantastic for Bournemouth, starting on the very first day of the season, actually, tearing Liverpool to shreds at Anfield, and he continued in that vein of form right the way through the season. He's then got his big move to Manchester City, and in terms of goals, he's never looked back. I mean, he's pretty lethal.
10 for each club,
Absolutely. He's pretty lethal in front of goal. I mean, he's playing in a very advanced position for Manchester City, sometimes alongside Haaland as a centre-forward, but he's taken to it well, and I've been really, really impressed with him this season. And then Morgan Rogers. I mean, there was 1 or 2 people that potentially entered my head. Gibbs White at Nottingham Forest. Bernardo Silva could have played in one of those advanced positions. We've got Doku, but Doku played pretty well late on in the season. I think he went missing really early in the season. But anyway, Aston Villa coming fourth in the Premier League is no mean feat. So I wanted to squeeze a Villa player in, and he's probably been their best player this season.
OK, so there's 10. We can only presume Erling Haaland is leading the line. Is he the Premier League top scorer? Oh.
No,
Igor Thiago.
I'm going to go with Igor Thiago. I mean, to score the goals that he scored in the Premier League this season, he's only just behind Haaland in terms of
3 behind,
numbers.
yeah.
3 behind. And to play in a Brentford team that most people, including me, thought would struggle this season, to be on the verge of European football and to have scored so many goals is quite an achievement. I think if you put, him in a Manchester City shirt this season, it's fair to assume that he would have had more chances and scored possibly more goals than an Erling Haaland. So to score that many goals in a Brentford team, I think he's done incredibly well, and I think you've got to mark that up. Haaland, yes, had a fantastic season. You expect it from Haaland nowadays, but this guy has really stepped up to the mark, and he just edges it for me.
Interesting, and he could well be on the way to the World Cup, of course, with Brazil. Haaland does make the bench with your 9 substitutes, and some of those players you've said who you agonised about.
Absolutely,
including.
yes. Lamans has been brilliant for Manchester United. Gehi has had a very good season as well, taken to playing for Manchester City like a duck to water. If Granit Xhaka had continued his second half of the season like his first, he would have been in the starting lineup, so an honourable mention for him as well. We've sort of covered the rest of them, apart from Garner. James Garner at Everton, I thought he's had a fantastic season as well, so there's my team. OK, right, individual awards now. Let's start with Michael's Premier League Player of the Season. Who have you gone for? Yeah, I'm going for Bruno Fernandes. Quite simply unbelievable. I think he's been brilliant for many, many years now. Even when Manchester United were playing poorly, were struggling, he was still the standout. He kept his levels, and that's not an easy thing to do. And since they've been playing, he's been the talisman. He's been fantastic again this season, scoring goals, assists. I mean, since Kevin De Bruyne has left the Premier League, I can think of nobody else that sees a pass, that delivers a pass like Bruno Fernandes. Where would Manchester United be without him? I think he's been head and shoulders the best player. OK, this will be interesting. Manager of the season. Few contenders. Few contenders, and obviously we're filming this just before the season is out. And of course, it's looking like Arteta's going to win the Premier League, looking that way. But I just think that there's another couple of managers that have done really, really well, namely Unai Emery. And when I looked at the shortlist of who people were voting for in this Premier League season as their top, Emery didn't even get into the shortlist of 5. You're talking Keith Andrews, of course, Iraola at Bournemouth, fantastic seasons themselves. You're talking Pep Guardiola, already won the double, and Arteta. Nobody was mentioned Unai Emery, and I couldn't believe it. They were even mentioning Michael Carrick, that's only managed in the Premier League for half a season. Emery's got his team into the Champions League 2 out of the 3 seasons. They've got to... And only missed on goal difference in the other. And that was very, very unlucky, possibly a poor decision that caused that. And he's doing so well in Europe as well, so I think he's had another unbelievable season. OK, next up, goal of the season. I wasn't too enamoured with the goals of the season this season. I'm going with Harrison Reed for his Fulham effort against Liverpool. It was an incredible strike. It's not the type of goal I normally vote for in terms of a goal of the season. I seem to like, skillful goals or team goals. This is just a strike. But this was in the 94th minute. It was an equaliser against Liverpool, so it had a lot on it, and it was an unbelievable strike. So Harrison Reed for me. OK, that is the goal of the season. Now we want to know what you think is the save of the season. Well... Now, this was hard. This was very hard. When I was looking through all the saves, Jordan Pickford came up about 3 or 4 teams. Against Newcastle. 3 or 4 times, and probably the pick of them was against Newcastle, where he tipped it onto the bar. I'm going to go for Kinski, though. And, in fact, this is fascinating, because I thought 2 of his saves in the same game both got into my shortlist. But this... Not only was it an amazing save, it was right towards the end of the game, and the importance of it can't be underestimated. it got Tottenham Hotspur a point, and who knows whether that point could be the key to their survival. And when you think, and when you go back to the poor start he had in a Tottenham shirt, the way he's bounced back and the way he, well, virtually single-handedly won them a point there was really admirable.
And that was in injury time as well.
Absolutely. Huge save.
OK, and just to round off, as we always ask Michael, his moment of this Premier League season, the final award.
Yeah, I'm going to go for James Milner, breaking the all-time appearance record in the Premier League. It's an incredible achievement, an incredible professional, incredible man, and what a player. He's represented some of the great teams in the Premier League. And it's not often, of course, somebody breaks a record like that. So there's been some great moments. I'm thinking of the VAR decision the other day, West Ham against Arsenal. What a huge moment that was. Thankfully, VAR, I thought, got that spot on. Other huge moments, but James Milner, record breaker, that was my moment of the year.
Great one to finish. Can you believe we've done another season of Mondays?
Absolutely.
There it goes, in the blink of an eye. Good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. That is a final.
Welcome back to the Premier League show. A reminder that Gary Neville will be live on the show at 6 o'clock this evening. And sticking with the Manchester United theme, well, their manager, Michael Carrick, said there will be a clearer picture of who will lead the team next season over the coming days. We, of course, expect him to stay on as Manchester United manager. Clinton, talk to us about the job he has done since coming in January.
He's done a brilliant job. What more could he do, Michael Carrick, from where Man United were? You ask Man United fans if they think they would be finishing third in the Premier League, playing Champions League football. Absolutely no chance. And I know a lot of Man United fans in this building, and they always
in
thought...
the vicinity?
Yes,
yeah.
Very close, and they never thought this was going to happen. So fair play to Michael Carrick. Done a terrific job, thoroughly deserved it. Played players in their right position, same group of players that Ruben Amorim had, but, you know, it's got a tune out of them, and they're playing ever so well. And you can see the owners, they're smiling. The owners weren't smiling 3-4 months ago. They definitely weren't, but they're smiling now. So credit to Carrick, and he deserves the job. Who else? I know there's other managers you could say that are bigger names than him, but what he's done to go into that football club and turn it around, huge credit to him.
Well, you can see the stats on the screen there. Just 2 defeats in 16 games.
Yep.
You said there about playing players in the right position and getting a tune out of them. What have been the big differences and the ones that have made the impact?
Kobbie Mainoo's played and he's been outstanding, signed a new contract. For the life of me, how that young man was sitting on the bench, I do not know, because he's been exceptional. Casemiro's took his game to a whole different level, and it was kind of emotional for him and his family yesterday, the send-off he got, but he's been brilliant. And Bruno Fernandes is Bruno Fernandes. What a player he is, by the way. Like, I know he's equaled their assist record, but let me tell you, they missed about 5 one-on-ones yesterday. He could have broke it clearly yesterday with the amount of chances that he created. And he's been a top player. And then they got the best out of Šeško. Cunha's been outstanding. And Buemo's been in bits and pieces, but he will be good. But Cunha's the truth as well. He's a player, by the way. Him and Bruno, the connection they have. But I've always said that about Cunha. He's a typical Man United player. When you've gone by years by, when you look at the likes of Cantona, they have that X factor. Cunha has the X factor. And he's getting the best out of these players, Michael Carrick. Because sometimes you can have a manager come through the door and do they earn the respect? Because he's not a massive name and you're at Man United Football Club. Every player respects Michael Carrick, and that is why they're in the position they're in at the moment.
You mentioned there some of the signings that were made last summer, and it felt like their recruitment in that transfer window was excellent. You talked about Matheus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo coming in, Šeško as well, and Senna Lammens. It feels like this summer needs to be just as good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Lammens as well. That's a great shout, Emma. He's been brilliant. Made some big saves yesterday against Nottingham Forest. It will be good, the recruitment. The only thing now what Carrick he'll have to deal with, because it's different when you're playing 1 game a week. Now you're not going to be playing 1 game a week because you're going to have Champions League football, you're in all the cups, and that is when, you know, your job really gets tested. But I think he'll be able to handle it, and I do think they'll strengthen. They had a good summer, and I think they'll have another good summer this year. Me personally, if they can get all the tools in, Man United could challenge next season. I honestly do think they can challenge it.
Then?
Like, they need about 4 or 5 new players, though. But if they can get the 4 or 5 new players that they need in, they'll be challenging for sure. And the 11 and the squad they've got at the moment is really good. But then if you look at the bench, there's not a lot that really sometimes can come off the bench. So if 4 or 5 players, Man United definitely be challenging. And that's a big 4 or 5 players. I know I'm being a bit greedy here, but they've got a chance of challenging next season for sure. They've been outstanding.
All right. Well, someone Clinton mentioned a minute ago is Bruno Fernandes, who yesterday put himself in elite company by equalling the record for most assists in a Premier League season. He is tied on 20 alongside Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne. Here are a a few of his best moments this season.
Fernandes did it then, joining an exclusive club with 20 assists in a Premier League season alongside Thierry Henry and Kevin De Bruyne, and there is still time to take one more step past his rivals. And here is how he has done it then. Thierry Henry's assists by match day is the red line that you are looking at from 2002-03. We've got Kevin De Bruyne as well, the blue line, and you can follow Fernandes in the black. Now, both De Bruyne and Henry reached the magic number of 20 on the final day of the season. Fernandes has obviously now reached that landmark ahead of time. One game to go. Remarkable, really, given that Fernandes didn't even get his first assist of the season until match day 8. You can see it there. And that was on the 19th of October. It's been a brilliant run since then. No player in Europe comes close to Bruno Fernandes' output this season. We have plotted every player in the top 5 leagues here in Europe to get an assist or create a chance this season. Now, if you are in the top right, you're really good at football. Lots of chances created, lots of assists. And, of course, that is where Bruno Fernandes is. He is absolutely miles ahead of everybody else, ahead of all the other big names in Europe. We've got Michael Olise there of Bayern Munich, Lamine Yamal. The closest player really to him in the Premier League, Ryan Cherki. And that is how far ahead Bruno Fernandes is. 132 chances created this season. And, of course, we've had the debate over set-piece and open play assists as well. Remember, 18 of Henry's 20 assists came from open play, 17 for De Bruyne and 10 from open play this season for Bruno Fernandes. But since the start of 2020-21, that's Bruno's first full season at United, nobody has more open play expected assists. Now, if you're not sure what expected assists are, think of expected goals as measuring how likely a shot is to become a goal. Expected assists measures how likely a pass is to become a goal. So that doesn't really matter whether the teammate takes the shot or not. It gives credit to the passer of the ball, whether the striker scores or doesn't. Bruno Fernandes out there in front, 46.7. And also you've got to consider someone like Kevin De Bruyne playing with, I'm going to say it, probably better players at Manchester City, better finishers than Bruno Fernandes as well. So things to think about there if you're talking about the open play or set-piece assist record. And we're asking for you to get involved on the website today as well. Who was the best, or who is the best out of Thierry Henry, Bruno Fernandes or Kevin De Bruyne when it comes to goals? Henry at the moment is 36%, Kevin De Bruyne 33%, and Bruno Fernandes is on 31%. So Manchester United fans, get your phones out, scan the QR code and cast your votes. Who would you be voting for there?
What? The best player of all three?
Best creator. Best creator.
Oh, creator. OK, I was about to say, there's only one for me, and that's TT. All day, every day. I love Thierry Henry. But, the best creator. That is hard. You know who's the best creator I would have probably out of all of them? KDB.
Yeah.
I'd probably say, but Bruno would run him super close. Thierry's, I see him scoring individual, and I know he's got loads of an assist. But, yeah, Thierry's my favourite ever Premier League player. But I'd probably say Kevin De Bruyne just ahead of Bruno. by a nose in a photo finish. But it's good. Those 3 players will go down as 3 of the best players to ever play in the Premier League. Bruno Fernandes is an amazing player. Like, he probably will go on now and win Player of the Year, to be fair, even though that's up for dispute. But, yeah, he's been outstanding. But imagine being in that company. I could only dream about that. But anyway.
No, you can only dream.
Yeah, that's what I said. Literally, I can't dream. There's levels, and that level is ridiculous level, them 3.
We'll get on to that sort of player of the season debate and discussion a little bit later on. But will Bruno go down as Manchester United's greatest player post the Sir Alex Ferguson era?
Yeah, probably at the moment, because if you look at the likes of the Roy Keanes and players like Beckham and that, he's got not a long way to go, but, win more stuff to be compared to those kind of players. But he's up there, definitely. He's such a super talented individual. And you know what makes me laugh? People like to criticise him because he moans. I don't care about him moaning. He delivers. If you moan and you don't deliver, then you can't say anything. He gets frustrated. He throws his hands in the air because he's got a will to win. And his frustration, that is what it is, his will to win. And he wants people to be on the same wavelength. And when you're playing with Bruno Fernandes, anyone will tell you, playing with good players, you up your game. And loads of players have raised their game. He is a top player on Bruno Fernandes. Unbelievable.
He's been the leading figure, hasn't he, when you're looking at Manchester United's upturn in form.
Yeah.
And where they've ended up this season.
And look, early on in the season, he was playing in the midfield too with Casemiro, which didn't suit him. Now you've played him in that 10 and gave him the freedom to go and do what he wants to do. He's on a different level, and it just makes me laugh. He's captain fantastic. I don't care what anyone says. I'm here for the debate. He can do everything. He's the best number 10 in the Premier League at the moment. And and I like the likes of the Rodgers and the Ezes and the Cole Palmers, the Fodens, and stuff like that. But his numbers, what he's getting at the moment, he's the best, Bruno Fernandes, by a country mile. That's my opinion. I know everyone will be shouting at the TV, but it's my opinion. At the moment, what he's doing and the numbers he's getting at Man United are terrific.
I love how happy his teammates were for him yesterday.
Oh, yeah. It was brilliant.
Just see it. Can you celebrated with him?
It was brilliant, to be fair. And that shows how much you're liked as well.
Exactly.
That is a big thing to show if you're liked.
They wanted it to happen.
Everyone wanted it to happen, and they didn't even celebrate Bryan Mbeumo's goal. Bryan Mbeumo kind of went over to him and said, "Everyone get off me, it's about Bruno Fernandes." And that shows how much they like him and how much he's respected at the football club and stuff like that. So, yeah, they have to keep him, have to try and tie him down to a long deal because, as I say, you need him for the next 2 or 3 years if you want to be challenging at the top.
You say about tying him down, because do we feel like there's going to be talk again about his future at the club? Because, talk in recent windows about a potential move to Saudi.
Yeah.
I thought Manchester United fans loved that he said in an interview with Wayne Rooney, the fact that his wife said to him, have you achieved everything you want to achieve at Manchester United? If you haven't, then you've got to stay.
Yeah,
and he said that is what really kind of got me.
But then he's got good people around him. Then for his wife to say that, he's got very good people around him, because he could have gone to Saudi and got massive money and stuff like that, but he's decided to stay at Man United. And he's probably thinking next season I want to win stuff at Man United as well. And he's got, as I say, if they can improve the squad in the summer and get to players that are on Bruno Fernandes' level, they've got a great chance of competing and winning trophies next season. So hopefully he stays there. As I said, the same with Pep Guardiola. Best manager, you want to see the best players staying in the Premier League in this league. So hopefully he does sign a new contract and stays at Man United for a very long time. I know Man United fans will be happy and you'll be happy.
I will be. Right. And
Oof, guys, welcome. Jay, Dermot, goodness me, one of the biggest talking points at the weekend. We're going to kick off at Old Trafford. Nottingham Forest absolutely furious with referee Michael Salisbury's decision to award Matheus Cunha's controversial goal after his Manchester United teammate Bryan Mbeumo handled it. Gary Neville called it a shocker of a decision as the referee stuck with his on-field decision after VAR had sent him to the monitor. And here is how it played out.
Sideways and backwards, he's not.
Oh, it's reached Mbeumo, much to his surprise. And it has been tapped home, and for now, Cunha's goal stands.
Well, they're going crazy, Nottingham Forest players. I would be as well, because there's a clear handball. I thought it was quite clear, but yeah, just almost like wedges it in between sort of the side of his body and his arm. If he scores, we know that goal gets disallowed. But I mean, I would be furious if that was allowed. It's a clear handball. I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever. They have to intervene here.
Well, an on-field review is being recommended by Matt Donoghue, so I think it's fairly clear the direction in which this is now heading.
I mean, the VAR's been quite clear, just so you know. We can hear what VAR are saying, and they're saying he's controlled it with his arm and he's brought it into play.
To review, the decision of goal stands because the handball offence is accidental.
Goal stands.
Therefore, the foul decision is goal.
Goodness. Wow. I think that's an absolute shocker in every single way.
So, guys, look, Gary Neville couldn't believe the decision. Michael Salisbury deemed it accidental, handball. What did you make of the decision, Dermot?
I think it should be disallowed. I think it's handball. I think Michael gets seduced by this directive that if it comes off your body and strikes your arm, it's accidentally play on. I think that's, if your arm's out there, I get it. It hits his hip, it strikes his arm. But if you watch this, Hayley, for me, it's totally different. And I think the VAR has tried to guide him on this. You know, he's done as much as he can. If you look here, his arm's out. When it finishes, his arm's in. His arm's out there, but then his arm comes in. And I think he traps the ball between his arm and his thigh. I think it does strike his thigh, there's no doubt about that. But it doesn't fly up and hit his body. If you hit it here,
it's almost cushioned the voice. It almost stops. It creates that opportunity for Bueno. I think at that point, you know, if you listen to the VAR, he's very, very clear. He says, I think it's a handball offence. I think he's controlled it with his hand. He sends him to the screen. He does everything he can possibly do, and then it's Michael's choice.
I'll come back to you in a moment as well. Something else I want to pick out, but just go on. Your initial reaction then.
My initial reaction is the same. For me, it's handball. Man United have definitely benefited from it, and when it comes across, like Dermot said there, okay, it has hit his thigh and his arm, but we don't know what is hit first, right? So it's almost like the ball is caught there for a moment.
Yep.
So when that happens, and then Man United benefit from it again, I don't think you can give a penalty there. I mean, sorry, I don't think you can give a handball there. It's just it is a shocking decision, like Gary Neville said. Look, as you can see, it's hit his thigh and arm there at the same time. And then he's turned on it and swiveled and tried to have a shot. It's blocked, dropped to Cunha, obviously, and he's put it away. But Man United's benefited from that. That should be a handball. We always talk about as well, like, you know, referees taking responsibilities and sticking to their decisions. But he had the help in this scenario with VAR, and he should have took it. But he decided to stick with his decision, which is the wrong one, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's go on that, because, look, let's talk about Matheus Cunha's body language, himself suggesting it might be disallowed. We heard Gary Neville there, Micah Richards and Roy Keane also felt it was a really clear handball. VAR, Matt Donoghue, so he did send Salisbury to the monitor after saying Bruno controlled it with his arm, brought it into play. We want to know, can you explain the referee's thinking here? What was his thinking?
I go back to what I said, Hayley. You know, they've got this notion that if it strikes a part of the body and flies up and hits your hand, it's not to be given. We've seen many times where a penalty's not been given. You know, it flies off Jay's thigh, hits his arm, the referee goes play on. We've accepted that, but I think that's different. If your arm's out there, I get it. It hits. But what it done, if you see that, I think the difference is here, it does strike his thigh, but if you look there, he's got the ball trapped. That's not flying up and hitting his body. He's, in my opinion, he's cushioned that. Yeah. I listened to Matt Donoghue. I thought he did brilliant on the VAR, honestly, for me. You know, he's guided him, he's explained what he's seen, he's explained why he sent him to the screen. He can do no more. You know, it's then up to Michael, but for whatever reason, Michael's obviously thought, it's hit his thigh first, I'm going to give accidental handball. Give an accidental handball, he plays on.
I don't, again, this is another example for me. I don't like the way they interpret the rules, which they deem are correct, obviously. This is where I'll go back to having players in the VAR room as well that can give some input, maybe even to Michael, and say, listen, and explain what's actually happened there. Because, like you said, Mbeumo has clearly controlled that ball with his arm. And it's not, maybe it's not intentional, but they've benefited from it. That's what people are going to say. They've benefited from it. They've scored a goal because of it. Again, I don't know if Michael has played the game at any level, but I think that when it's an opinion now, he's given an opinion, and I don't think you can give an opinion there.
Well, that's what he's paid for, unfortunately, Jay, isn't it? You know, he's paid to give his opinion is it handball or not? So. That's a little bit unfair on me. He's paid.
No, but I'm saying when you're getting help from VAR as well.
Yeah, but
like you're meant to have a conversation.
I get that, but don't forget, the vote's 1-1, isn't it?
Well, there's two people in there.
The VAR has said to him, he feels it's handball because he sent him. Yeah. Michael feels it's not handball, so vote's 1-1. He's backed himself, hasn't he? So I just look at that. It's. For me, it's handball.
Do you know when you say, sorry, Derm, do you know when you say 1-1, there is two people in that VAR room, right?
Yeah,
so if there's two people.
Yeah, one's an assistant. They will.
So they don't. It's not like. So it wouldn't be 2-1.
No, the vote's 1-1, isn't it? So he's obviously thought, I'm going to back myself. I get that, you know, and at times, you know, vote's 1-1. The assistant's told me something. I think different. I'm going to back myself. But I think the weight of evidence was so greatly against him that I just think, for whatever reason, he took the wrong choice, because I think Matt Donoghue has done everything to say, look, here's your opportunity to have a look, but he had a look and said no.
I think one thing I would say as well, if that happens in the middle of the pitch,
but it didn't. It wasn't.
I know you don't like this, Derms. I know you don't like it, but if that happens in the middle of the pitch, what do you think he's given there?
Well, it's not the same.
He's given a free kick.
But, well, it didn't happen in the middle of the pitch.
OK, but it should be the same, Dermot. This is the whole problem.
Jay, wait. A, it didn't happen in the middle of the pitch. And B, it's not the same decision because in the middle of the pitch, it's not a goal.
But I'm saying to you, in the middle of the pitch, referees give handballs for that all the time. And I'm saying that should be the same in the penalty area. The decisions anywhere on the pitch should always be consistent. Don't matter where you are. It should always be the same. So, in my opinion, that in the halfway line is going to be given as a handball. It should be the same in the penalty area.
Yeah. You like to be hypothetical. Dermot doesn't like it. But it's hit back at least. But look, tell you who else didn't like that decision. It was, of course, the Forest boss, Vitor Pereira. And he wants a Premier League explanation and said he just couldn't accept the decision.
In my opinion, he controlled the ball with the hands, and the goal comes from the control. If not, they will not have chance to shoot and to score. But in the end, this is what. This is the doubts that we have in this moment in Premier League about the decisions. You know, the handball, we don't know when is handball or not. The blocks on the box, when in the free kicks, we don't know when is foul or not. I think it's important to have a meeting with everybody and try to understand the rules, try to understand the rules, the decisions. Because I think everybody, all the managers in this moment, they have doubts about some decisions.
Right, let's speak about these rules then. He doesn't understand it. The handball rules were changed in 2021. So we want to ask you, Dermot, what are the rules exactly?
Well, it's easy, isn't it? You know, the first two are easy. This is the third one we're talking about now. Accidental handball. Is it accidental? It used to be that if Jay knocked the ball down with his hand and I scored, it was disallowed. Then that was felt that was too much. So now it comes off Jay's arm and I score, you give the goal because it's accidental. But I think this comes down to, do you think it's accidental? Do you think there's enough evidence to say that the player gained a massive advantage by what he did? Because I don't think... We look back to, remember the famous Luton one, the ball flies up off the guy's leg, his arm's in the air, it hits his arm, and the referee gave a penalty. And people said, well, that can't be right.
That can't be, yeah, that's accidental.
So yeah. I get that, yeah. I get it. And I think if Mbeumo's like that, it flies up, it hits his arm and bounces down, I get that. I can see he can't do that. But I think this is different. In Mbeumo's arm is out, and I get it, he's trying to get balance. When it strikes his body, I actually think his arm comes in, and that's what cushions the ball. I think it gets trapped. And if you look, there's a period where that ball is actually almost stationary in his body. Yeah. And I think at that point, that's where Matt Donoghue has said, look, this is the key element. And that element, to me, is what causes the doubt.
And that's exactly why, look, if you look here again, that's exactly why he can adjust his body and swivel on it straight away. Because it's cushioned there and it's dropping. You know, if it hits his arm and goes away from him, then it's different. But because it's hit his arm and he's almost caught the ball, it's dropped nicely to him, he's benefited from him. Man United have benefited from this situation because he's had the shot, it's been blocked, Cunha there goes and puts it in. Again, in my opinion, it's a definitely handball. And like Gary Neville said, it is a shocking decision. It is, but the fact that the referees stood by it, and I know sometimes I'm critical of referees for not standing by their decision, but this is an example of them. They should have listened to the people in the VAR room and took that on board.
As well as just obviously seeing the incident, what about looking at the, players' body language, for example? Would you kind of, as a referee, maybe read into that, surely?
That's normally a good sign, isn't it, Dan? that's normally a good sign. When you see one player just celebrating by himself.
Yeah. I just think the weight of evidence that Matt Donoghue provided for him is the key for me. I've said that over and over again. I said it last night, I was talking to people. I say it, at the end of the programme, if you like. I just can't see what more he could have done. I can't see, short of actually going down and saying, look, I'll make the decision for you. I don't think there's any more he could do.
Yeah, look, can you understand why there is so much confusion here? And look, how it is that a teammate can handle the ball in the build-up, the goal stands, simple, even when it clearly creates the chance.
again, that's it, the interpretation. Because I think the rule should be, if your team is benefiting from a situation like we've just seen, it shouldn't be given as a goal. Because you have literally benefited from that incident.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen some before in the past where, I mean, it's not quite the same, where another player has, handballed the ball, but things have happened since that, a few passes maybe, then it's come back and they've scored from it. But I think that directly affected Man United scoring the goal.
You mentioned that we've seen other examples of this type of handball incident this season. We're going to take you back. How does it compare to the goal scored by Jorginho Ruta for Brighton against West Ham? This was back in December. Discussed this on Ref Watch, which was also allowed to stand. Dermot.
I think this is different, Hayley, because if you watch, it does strike his arm, there's no doubt about it. But it strikes his arm and it bounces away. It's a bit like we were talking earlier about the ball bounces away. It doesn't give Rutter a chance to get the ball, which is exactly what you're saying about Mbeumo. I think the difference with Mbeumo, it falls straight to him because it's cushioned down. This one bounces off him. The rule was changed in 2021, wasn't it? Because it used to be that would be disallowed. People said it's too far back. It's got to be the player scores, and that's why it's changed.
And I think, like you said there, Derm, am I right in saying that because his arm's more like upwards, his arm's out like that, he's obviously tried to control it with his thigh, and it's accidentally hit his arm. Where like Mbeumo's one, his arm's literally there, he's caught the ball almost.
Right. Well, tell you what, you've been having your say at home. Patrick says Mbeumo was actually trying to avoid touching the ball with any part of his hand or arm. The ball came off his hip and probably didn't touch either anyway. And this from Eric. He says the ball hasn't just hit his arm, he's controlled it, albeit accidentally. And then he finishes with ridiculous. Lee says the ball misses the defender ahead of Mbeumo, which makes it hard for him to readjust his body. And also the ball seems to hit his thigh before. And this from Alan. Think when you see it from a different angle, the player does try to lift his arm out of the way. It isn't hands to ball. You can clearly see that. There's always going to be arguments and differences of opinion. How do we stop it?
I mean, to be honest, I've been in that situation before. If you are trying to avoid the ball, you don't lift your arm up, you take your arm away like that. So you'd take your arm away and try and control it away from the ball. Trying to avoid the ball, you don't lift your arm up. And I think that's the difference. And he hasn't even lifted his arm up. Because if he did, his arm would be further up. Maybe his arm would even be bent. But the fact that he's just left his arm there, I think he's definitely controlled that and he's benefited from it.
OK, right. Plenty